they're investigating alleged comments or hateful comments from fans towards Sky players. We talked about this in the past. Now it should be an inclusive environment. You want to speak on that?
Yeah, there's no place for that in our game. There's no place for that in society. And, certainly we want every person that comes into our arena, whether player, whether fan, to have a great experience. So I appreciate the league doing that. I appreciate, the Fever organization has been at the forefront of that since, really day one and what they're doing. So we'll, hopefully the investigation, we'll leave that up to them to find anything and take the proper action if so.
So that is Caitlin Clark talking about the racial words or slurs or sound effects or things that were pointed towards the Chicago Sky and specifically Angel Reese in the game that happened over this weekend. And she said she stands with the league investigating and looking into it. And that is something that's kind of consistent with Caitlin. She always kind of takes that standpoint. She's not like loud and boisterous about it, because when she was loud and saying black women built this sport and I'm standing on their shoulders, she got ridiculed about it. So I don't expect her to come out and make a Instagram post or a YouTube video or a big stay. I don't expect her to initiate the conversation, because when she did do things along those lines, they weren't the same exact things, she got called woke. Big platforms started saying they won't support her. Content creators said they no longer want to cover her or deal with her, even though they've already turned around and started doing it again, because that's good for their channels and their platforms. But so I'm not expecting her to be like putting out major statements and all that, because it makes it, how do I say this? This is like, it almost turns into counterproductive, because it's like she'll make this statement and she might believe what she's saying, but people turn around and say, oh, she was forced, or she's bending a knee, or she's kissing the feet of these certain people, these certain players. So I'm assuming we're always going to get statements after a practice, something very light like this, and nothing in that like thought out professional, like I'm making my statement. It's going to be her being asked about these situations. And so she said she agreed with the league looking further into it, because if the stuff we're hearing or we're seeing is true, it's nasty, and nobody deserves to deal with any kind of racial rhetoric while they're playing a game of basketball. And we've seen even Westbrook, and I believe LeBron has said, playing in Indiana, they've heard some really bad things. And also DeWanna Bonner last year, I think on her exit interview, said playing in Indiana and against Indiana, she heard racial things and things said to her and her teammates that she's never heard in the 11 years she played in the league, and something that should not be done. So it's not out of range that these things have come out or these things have happened. And I'm not pointing the finger. I'm not even saying my opinion. I'm going off of what other people are saying, people have been through. And then there's people making accounts. Hey, I was in the arena and I've heard this and I've seen this. And people are saying, well, where's the video? And why didn't you record? And maybe they just didn't have their phone out. But we've heard, like I said, actual players doing press conferences saying, yo, when we're playing against Indiana, we're hearing X, Y, and Z. And that is not fair. That is disrespectful. I've never heard it in another arena. I think A'ja Wilson says she doesn't even feel comfortable playing in Indiana. And I know a lot of people have their own thoughts of A'ja Wilson. But if somebody's telling you they don't feel comfortable playing somewhere, we can take a little bit of what they said to be maybe true, right? She's saying she don't feel comfortable there, whether you don't like her because of people say she's jealous of Caitlin's shoes or something, whatever the narrative. You don't like A'ja for that reason, but if she's saying I just don't feel comfortable here, and LeBron is in the middle of the game asking security to kick people out, and Westbrook is saying, hey, they call me X, Y, and Z, and then Alyssa Thomas is saying, yo, I've never heard some of the things I heard today while playing in the arena, and Alyssa Thomas saying they're putting my teammate's face on George Floyd getting a knee put on his neck. I mean, I don't want to say if it's quacks like a duck, it is a duck, but like people keep saying that this fan base are ugly. So now Caitlin Clark is saying, hey, if this is happening, the league needs to do something about it. The organization needs to do something about it. I stand with them with their investigation. So we can't really get too upset at Caitlyn for taking her stance. People aren't going to get upset at her. You know, the world loves her, which is totally understandable. She, in Time magazine, like I said, she gave a salute and said, you know, I'm standing on the shoulders of the black women that came before us, that paved the way. And it wasn't a racial thing. If you look at the league in its inception, it was probably like 98% black, MVPs, champions, everything was a really black woman-led league. And, you know, now the white women are doing their thing. They're equal to what the black women are doing in this league, but she acknowledges that, like, yo, this was kind of their league at the beginning. Yes, we had some white women that were great. Absolutely. We can go down the list and name them all. But she was just saying, like, it was majority black. I'm standing on their shoulders. And she got killed for it. So now we can't expect her to make a big grandiose statement in support, or even in her, I guess, checking the Indiana fans about their actions towards black women. Because when she speaks, and if people don't agree with her, they went on a weak rant. I've seen some of the biggest content creators, sports heads on YouTube and on Twitter, like, upset that she even said what she said. And she didn't say anything crazy, or she didn't talk down upon her own racial background or her own upbringing. And we don't know, man. She's been in women's basketball longer than all of us. And so if she feels like a certain group of people are oppressed with their brand deals or the recognition they get, Paige said the same type of thing. Like, they're not getting the same opportunities that I'm getting, and they're just as good, or they're X, Y, and Z. And they both were basically saying it's probably the color of their skin, and they need equal opportunities in this space, in this league. But unfortunately, when people like those two speak up, even their support group will ban against them and call them woke, or call them bending on the knee, or kissing the feet, or whatever those weird things they say about people just speaking from their experience. And she's probably seen things that we can't understand. She's probably seen herself walking in a restaurant and everybody goes crazy and pays for her meal while her teammates still got to pull out her credit card and pay for it. You know, I'm just giving like hypotheticals. That's stuff she may seen, and that makes them feel like, hey, I need to speak on this because these women are just as great. They're great athletes like me. And so when people like Caitlyn and people like Paige speak on these matters, they get crushed. So now we get these kind of small statements, these small bites, like we did here on this Twitter post. And she said, I'm supporting the league, looking into it. And if it happened, you know, I'm guessing she's saying, like, the person deserves, excuse me, Mike, the consequence. I'm AJ. This is my mic. Peace.